Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called, Be Ye Not Unequally Yoked Together with Unbelievers. All right? The fall of the podcast spirit. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. The fall of the podcast spirit. All right? First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have brewed well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. Like I said, today's quick lesson is going to be called, Be Ye Not Unequally Yoked Together with Unbelievers. The fall of the podcast spirit. All right. And I was just watching this video with Captain Tazariak and Tommy Sotomayor. I think that's how you say his name. And, they've been doing these podcasts. Your boy Tazariak has been, doing a lot of these podcasts with these different, YouTubes and, all these different, folks or whatever. All right. And, so something must have happened on one of their last videos. So they did like a a video, like a response to it. All right. And they were basically trying to hash out the differences. All right. But they did it right on live. And I just want to show you, how it played off. But this is why, this whole podcast spirit, this whole, trying to get, you trying to be known within the podcast industry and these things that we see that, these Israelites on, and we see how it's failing miserably. The Lord is shaking and uprooting all that stuff. All right, so let's play a little bit of this. All right, then I got just a couple of scriptures that I want to show. Okay, so let's get this real quick.
Normally do to people that are in it. When I told you that normally don't fly with me, what you did? I just said, well, can I finish? No. You said no. You told me I shouldn't find a problem with it. I didn't think you told me I shouldn't find a problem with it. I don't. Imagine if I told you shouldn't have a problem with what I was saying yesterday, and you should stay on. I didn't have a problem. If you would have, your audience should have a problem. They should stay on.
Right. So evidently, what happened was, they were saying something on Tommy's live that he had, and Tazariak wasn't feeling it, and he basically jumped off the thing. But then I guess he was also recording it, and then his audience was basically talking, mess, and it got like just all types of just drama, unnecessary. All right. But that's what happens when you put yourself into this, this social media world, man, that you're trying to get into. All right. So let's keep watching, right?
Text you and said, I'm gonna let y'all rock this week. If you would have said, nah, Cap, come on back, I would have came back. I text you. You saw the text eventually. If you would have texted me and said, nah, Cap, it ain't that type of time. Don't do that. Come back. I would have came fucking back. It wouldn't have been that deep. I would have been like, oh, Tommy said come back. I'd have made a joke about it. Say, oh, they must have changed the subject. Let me go back. Because I am not that type of fucking man. I'm not that type of man. It's going to change. No. When I said, you said, yeah. But when you said the subject was going to change and I kept watching, it didn't change. That's why I texted you and said, I'm going to let y'all rock with it. And if you would have texted me back and said, nah, Cap, come on back because we got this subject here, I would have came back.
And if I'd have done that, then I'd have been the same bitch that's still calling me saying you've been begging that bitch. How would you get on the level and they keep carrying it, and you're just watching them do it?
You compared to a bitch because you're getting a brother to come back to the show. That's what you think about yourself.
Bro, you're coming, you just said it.
Right? So you see, like, they're just bantering back and forth, all right? And it gets a little even more heated where they just kind of end up stopping, the show, all right? And it just goes on, all right? But, this is, one of those latest things that these, you have these Israelites who want to get on these podcasts, all right, to try to gain more views, to try to gain more popularity, all right? And, when you watch somebody, I've watched a few of these segments, right? Most of the time, he's on there and there's no scriptures being brought out. He's just there as the face of Captain Tazariak, blah, blah, blah. All right. No scriptures, but and then it's always going into, a lot of the stuff is just the worldly stuff, and you ask yourself, but why, So let's play a little more. And then I'm going to just get a couple of scriptures, but this is why the Lord is throwing down this whole pod, all these folks who want to jump on and be part of this podcast thing. And the Lord's not dealing with that, man. All right. The Lord is only dealing with the very few. All right. Mainly the elect. Okay. At the end of the day, not dealing with everybody. All right. But you got everybody who wants to be, click up with, these celebrities and these different YouTube, famous YouTube folks. For what, man? All right. Let's play a little more.
What does the comments, you and this is why I said I didn't want to do it on the internet. Fuck the comments. Who gives a fuck about you? The only every time you talk to me, you let the comments control what you say with me.
Yes, because
and that is emotional. Be a fucking man and talk to me like a man. Fuck the comments. Not the comments.
There you go again. Hold on.
Why can't we talk to each other without the comments? Is the third part.
I haven't insulted you.
The comments are the niggas that ended on. The comments are the niggas and bitches that egg two black men on, and you're letting the comments do that to you.
No one's egging that you insulted me twice.
I did not.
And I ain't insulted you once.
You insult me every time you let the damn comments dictate what you say to me.
Sir,
you got more anger than you do me.
See how this works? I insult him by letting the comments dictate that this man sat right here and told me. I done told him, watch that shit you saying because you see what they're doing with it.
And you done sat here. You said every time you talk, you lead with what a nigga say in the chat.
Be a man.
What a nigga say in the chat, what a bitch say in the chat, that's how you talk to me. You ain't talking to me.
To be a man.
I only talk to you.
I'm telling you, I don't know how to be a man.
I'm the only one getting rid of the comments.
Right. So you see that, right? And that's how it went on. You're right to the end. All right. Basically to the end. It was just back and forth banter, going back and forth. You made me feel this way. You did, Listen, this is why, the scriptures rang true again. All right. They constantly win. They constantly win out because the scriptures tell you about this stuff, man. All right. So let's get our first scripture here. All right. This is 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 14. It says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Okay. And so he's on these podcasts and they start talking about you watch some of these, they just start talking about crazy stuff. And you can see him, right? He'll got his head down. He'll be on his phone doing something else. Like he's not paying attention, right? Because they just be going off into left field most of the time when you get into these. All right. But it says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communication have light with darkness? All right. You're trying to come with a brother through the scriptures Okay, you're trying to come on that factor, and they're not even dealing with that, man. They don't even want to hear that. All right. It says, and what concord hath a Mashiach with Belial, or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? All right. And we've been bringing this out even, amongst Israelites, with their differences. Can two walk together lest they be agreed? All right. And you see this whole podcast spirit that the Lord is casting that stuff down, man. All right. Because ultimately, and even with, Captain Tazariak with the ISUBK, all right, there's a difference, all right, between our people, and those who know the Bible, man. All right. Our regular Jakes out here in the street, doing podcasts, doing this, that, and the other, and those who actually read the scriptures. All right, at the end of the day. All right. Let's get I want to get Salakia. Let's get Psalms, right? Let's get the book of Psalms. I just got a couple of scriptures and I'm gonna close it out. I'm not gonna make this too long. Psalms chapter 1 and verse number 1. All right. And it reads, it says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. All right. And, these podcasts is, and you see, and I've seen the different ones that he's been on, and like even the one he was with the little, I don't even know what he was. All right. But he did this one podcast where they were basically trying to make light and joke of, the Israelites, right? Because he had brought on Captain Tazariak. He brought on some fake, the little small hats. He brought in some dude from what is that called? Dang, I can't think of the name. It's like he's in a show where they do pranks and stuff. All right, and had them all together. All right, in a podcast. All right, and it was all just for views and giggles. Okay, but this is what's going on. All right. So it says, let's see it again, Salakia. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Okay? The scriptures tell you, let's see, in the book of Ecclesiasticus, let's get that. All right? The book of Ecclesiasticus or the book of Sirach. All right. We're going to go to 13. And let's go to verse number 15. It says, every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. All right. And, so you see, during these conversations, during some of these podcasts, when they start talking about a lot of worldly stuff, you see Captain Tazariak kind of looking or just being distracted by other things. All right. Because it at the end of the day, it doesn't pertain to what he does. All right. But he's in there. Right. And you just see that it's totally off. It says, all flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. It says, what fellowship have the wolf with the lamb, so the sinner with the godly? All right. And that's what you see. All right. With this podcast spirit, man. All right. You got people out here, for the world. All right. And here you are trying to join and cleave unto them. For what though? All right. And you see how how it blows up at the end of the day. All right, because the Lord is not dealing with that. Okay. Let's get Salakia. Let's get the book of Proverbs. All right. Matter of fact, let's get the book of James. All right, let's get the book of James. And 4 and verse number 4. It says, "Ye adulterers, and adulteress." It says, "Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of the Most High." All right. And you got, you trying to go into this world of podcasts, which is all about the world, right? You look at your boy, Gorilla, all right, trying to join with the what is that, the no jumper, all right, and the stuff that they go into and the stuff that they talking about, all right, it's stuff of the world, all right. It says, "Ye adulterers and adulteress, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Most High." All right, but you want to get on here and you want to, you know, um, hang out and fellowship, all right, with folks who don't share your same thoughts or beliefs at the end of the day, all right, and you think that somehow it's going to work out at the end of the day, and it's like oil and water because they don't mix at the end of the day, all right, and ultimately, the Lord is going to cast down that like everything else, all right, that is not of the truth, man. Okay, that's the thing. People are trying to make this truth, about everything else, but the truth. But going out speaking, "Thus saith Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi." All right, they want to do podcasts. They want to do all these different things. All right, sell their little oils. Sell their. They got their Hebrew Bibles. They got their tassels. They got all this different stuff, man. Hebrew University. All these different things. Instead of feeding and edifying the sheep, all right? They think that it's more profitable to go join a podcast, you know? Let's get this one, and we'll probably close it out. Let's get the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 13, and let's jump down to verse number 20. All right, it says, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Okay, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise. All right, because you really, you should be like the scriptures say, a man cleaves to his like. All right, but you're trying to uh to fellowship with unbelievers, okay? And you see how that doesn't work out, all right? And you, like I said, you watch the whole thing. It was just back and forth, all right? And to the point where, you want to speak over me or you want to speak over me. I told you to be quiet. Like, it was just like that type of stuff, all right? But what do you expect at the end of the day, all right? Because you're unequally yoked, okay? But it says, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise," okay? But a companion of fools shall be destroyed. Okay, and if you want to be, you want to accompany fools, all right, you'll do foolish stuff at the end of the day. All right, they'll drag you back down to that level, back into the world. All right, and you see, look at your boy Gorilla. All right, he was, there was that podcast spirit. The Lord cast him through that down. All right, now we see what's going on next. The Lord is throwing down that podcast spirit at the end of the day. All right, this ministry is about feeding, edifying the sheep, all right, preaching this gospel, this good news, warning the people that death and destruction is coming, all right, but you want to get on a podcast and talk about nothing, all right, and then when you say, well, I don't really want to talk about it, so I'm going to step out, now it's a problem, now it's an issue, and now it blows up in your face, all right, but the scriptures tell you that, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, right? The scriptures just don't say what they say just to say it at the end of the day, man. People got to take heed, all right? So I just wanted to do this quick lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying, all right? Well, with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad. A mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled wealth in the spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. A mighty shalom to the rest of the elect in the household of faith, man. At the end of the day, all right, it's about this word, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. It's not about a podcast, trying to be friends, trimming your waist to seek love. All right. It's none of that. It's doing, what's the second Esdras, you swallow down wisdom. All right. You devour understanding. And you have no other place than only to live. That's your job. All right. It's to push this gospel, push this truth, push this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding out there. Shine your light. All right. Shine your light. But if people are blind, they're not going to see the light to begin with. So why are you even dealing with them? That's why it's only about the elect at the end of the day. All right? It's only about the elect. That's what the Lord is dealing with on this side. All right? So with that, we say a ball, and shalom.